on our tour of Europe this morning. We're now going to head to the Netherlands, and I'd like to introduce Koen, who's going to talk about the maturity model for authentication. So just as a reminder, everybody online, if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A box. We'll be happy to get to them at the end of the presentation.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Koen from the National Cybersecurity Center of the Netherlands. For those of you who don't know, the NCSC is mostly comparable to CISA here in the US. We are an advisory organization from the government to help both the national government and organizations in national critical infrastructure to be more secure. And since most of the critical or part of the critical infrastructure and a lot of their suppliers are actually private companies, we don't have any mandate to tell them you have to do this or you have to do that. We can only just ask them nicely. So that's kind of my job, asking people nicely to implement security measures, including ditching passwords. And one of the ways to reach all kinds of organizations is through collaboration with sectoral or regional organizations. So we hope to connect as much organizations as possible to broaden our audience. So, about my efforts to get people to ditch passwords, I'd like to start with a story back in elementary school when I was about 9 or 10 years old. I had a couple of friends at school and we built our own treehouse. This is not a picture of our treehouse. I just picked this one off the internet. I don't have any pictures, but trust me, it was way, 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 way less impressive than this one. It was just bits of scrap wood and we didn't have the right tools to build something really impressive, didn't have a roof or anything. So that didn't matter. We built our treehouse. We were proud of our treehouse, and we figured this would now be our secret headquarters. I don't know of what. We were not some kind of an evil organization, but we had secret headquarters, and for secret headquarters, of course, the location had to be confidential. We didn't want anyone to visit it, but of course, since sometimes people stumble across this treehouse, we also wanted to implement access control through, maybe you can guess it, a password. You've all been to elementary school, you know what it's like. So, we agreed upon a password, but the next day, actually, our treehouse was surrounded with all other kids out of town, and we just thought, what are they doing here? We tried to send them off, but they all knew the password. I don't know where we got breached, but that's actually, I was only 9 or 10 years old, but that's when I started hating passwords, really hating it. So it's not, of course, something of the present digital infrastructure. Passwords are, I found a source saying that 4,000 years ago, armies were already using passwords when they made camp during the night. People would walk around to stand guard, and when they met each other and couldn't recognize each other in the dark, they would say the password, and they could distinguish friends from foe. So, in all those 4,000 years, when I started my security career as a pen tester, I actually found for each year you can count, I found some application doing passwords wrong. And not just also users doing passwords wrong. I think I don't have to give you too many examples because you already know the people having easy guessable passwords, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 passwords, but also I once saw an application and it had this "Did you forget your password?" link, and when you click that link, it emailed you your password. Not a reset link, just "this is your password." So it was easy that I didn't have to reset my password, but I still did reset my password for that application since it was emailed to me. So, well, plenty of examples, but I think the main point is actually just passwords must die. I've had enough of those, and luckily, there's FIDO now. So we have an alternative. I'm very happy about it. When I started reading about FIDO, late 2018, early 2019, I thought, this is the solution. This is where we need to go. Because, well, the old password problems, you know them. Phishing is the #1 problem. Password breaches, password guessing, maybe not as big as a problem as some people may claim them to be. But my personal pet peeve is actually the user-friendliness. I mean, having just a simple password and using it everywhere and being a weak and easy to remember password, okay, that's user-friendly, but it's not secure. Definitely not. When you want to do password in a secure manner, you actually have to make it less user-friendly. And then you get password requirements, and then you have to change your expired password, all those hassles, and I really hate those actually, especially in work environments where you have to change your password every 30 days. I hate that. So the user-friendliness is my personal objective to passwords, but phishing, that's really the major issue. Over 3/4 of all digital attacks, both major and minor digital attacks, start with phishing. So many people thought multi-factor authentication is the solution, which of course it is. Although just a one-time password on top of your username password, be it through an app or SMS or anything, that's, well, a little bit more difficult to phish. It's not more user-friendly because you still have the password and you need to do something extra. So it's not improving the user-friendliness, but it's also not really phishing resistant yet, because as Andrew in his opening statement already noted, phishing attacks are getting more sophisticated. So you get these live phishing attacks that are man-in-the-middle attacks, actually, that log into the service where you're, when you're typing in your password on the fake site, it's logging in the background in the real service. That either transmits a one-time password or you get one from your app. The phishing site prompts for it and finalizes the login on the actual service. So phishing attacks are becoming more sophisticated, and to my knowledge, when I started advocating for actually FIDO2 from 2018 onward, I've noticed that there are so many organizations saying, "Oh, we have two-factor now, so we're done." And you, of course, all probably know you're not done yet. So I started, we had an advisory at the NCSE, a fact sheet about using two-factor authentication. That was an old fact sheet. We really had to renew it. And when we started thinking about this renewal, we figured what is actually beyond two-factor authentication? How do you stay ahead of these attacks? And of course, FIDO2, these two images are not to the same scale, actually. I've never seen a phone as small as a YubiKey or a YubiKey as big as a phone. Would be cool, though. Probably not very useful. Anyway, I'm drifting off. So I really want FIDO2, and now passkeys is the hot thing, actually, and I really want those to be successful. But it's not really taking off just yet. You see a lot more multi-factor authentication, but not too much on the WebAuthn standards or passkeys. And too many people saying, "Oh, I have SMS one-time passwords now, so I'm done. I'm phishing resistant." And so we figured we need to give people some better insight in what is actual what's your maturity level when you're switching to traditional two-factor authentication. So we developed this maturity model. I realized that that's a little bit of small text for people in the back, but the gist of it is you need to be aware of what your low, medium, and high impact accounts are. So you may have internal accounts for administrators, you may have supplier accounts, customer accounts, internet-facing, not internet-facing, internal, external, whatever. You need to have an overview of what is the organizational impact of such accounts being breached. And when you have that, you can prioritize which accounts you need to protect first. And then you can actually choose measures of authentication. And the most important thing we wanted to visualize with this maturity model is that traditional multi-factor authentication only brings you from level 0 to level 1. Level 0 is, of course, just passwords. So there are 2 levels more to go to, which do, of course, include phishing-resistant authentication. So, the actual difference between level 2 and level 3 is that phishing-resistant authentication, you can prioritize it for the high-impact accounts after you have done your risk assessment of your accounts, of course. And when prioritizing it for the high-impact accounts, that's already a major step forward if you apply phishing-resistant authentication on that. Level 3 is phishing-resistant authentication on all the medium and high-risk accounts. We've had a little bit of internal discussion about what are low-impact accounts. Can you think of any user account on any system where there is only a low impact if that account is breached? Well, we figured we shouldn't determine that for everybody, so you may do your own risk assessment for your systems and consider what your low, medium, and high impact accounts are. So, back to elementary school, that treehouse, we had a lot of unwanted visitors. We actually did find a way to expel them because the original 3 of us who made our treehouse, we knew each other and we knew everybody else who was not an invited guest. So we actually just pointed to them and say, you can get out. In practice, we used facial recognition as a method of authentication for our treehouse. So that was already 25 years ago. Over 25 years ago, when we switched to strong phishing-resistant authentication. So I think it is time for the rest of the world to follow. I hope this maturity model helps everyone provide a better insight and helps propagate FIDO2 and phishing-resistant authentication. So I have provided a download link. This QR code leads to our website, ncsc.nl. We've published it under Creative Commons 0 license, which means you can reuse it, you can share it, you can distribute it, you can do anything, translate, improve, do everything with for commercial purposes. That's all allowed. So my call to you is use it and spread the word, and I hope this will help the rest of the world to improve their authentication. So thank you very much. I'd like to open the floor to questions now.
Does anyone have any questions? No questions? No questions online?
Okay. Very good.
Thank you very much, Koen. It was a very fascinating presentation.
Thank
Entertaining
you.
too. All right, everybody, thank you very much for your attention. We're now breaking for lunch, and I believe we'll be back. What time are we back?